Hi. When we look at this sky, we all call it blue. Blue is one of the most reliable colors our brain perceives very early in life, as our vision has evolved in an environment dominated by the daylight and blue sky. Yet neuroscience shares a very unexpected truth with us. Actually, no two human beings see the same color. Even if we look at the same wavelength of light of that color, for example here blue, our brain mixes the signals it receives in its own specific ways and creates a slightly different understanding of that color for us. Yet at the end, we all call it blue. We agree on the word, but not necessarily on the understanding of the word. So, if we human beings cannot fully agree on the blue, the most reliable color of our human vision, an important question arises. Is the same thing happening with the rest of the words and our understandings of them? The response, as you might have guessed, is yes. Understanding, like colors, is not created only by words. It's created inside us on a daily basis, and it is very personal. I remember I was visiting a lovely grandmother with her family in my clinic. She had knee pain and the diagnosis was knee osteoarthritis. Medically, everything was very clear. I explained the condition, I set the management plan, and I provided my recommendations to her. She was following along until I asked her, "You should stop using stairs." I noticed something changed in her face, but she did not argue with me or question me. She respectfully agreed to do whatever I asked her to do. The moment they were leaving the office, the grandchild returned back to me and asked me, "When will Grandma visit us again? I'm gonna miss her." And that was the moment I understood. For me, avoiding stairs was about protecting her joints. For them, avoiding stairs meant separation, not visiting the granddaughter's house as the house had the stairs. Same word, different understanding. Protection versus separation. For a long time, I thought if I want to reach the same understanding with others, I should provide more words, more explanation, more clarity, or I should be smart enough to find better words. But early in my career, something happened that completely changed the way I understand understanding itself. 13 years ago, I was on a night shift in a hospital when I was called into neonatal intensive care unit to do a CPR. As I entered the NICU, they already had started the CPR. And when I was wearing my gown, the nurse started giving me the information. A 45 days old boy, the diagnosis, and what has been already done. Based on the information, I had an understanding in my head and set the medical steps ahead. The moment I reached the bedside, my understanding completely changed. It was a small baby, smaller than a doll. And in this size of human beings, if you want to do a CPR, you have to hold them with both your hands. 8 fingers on the back, 2 thumbs in front, like you're holding them to comfort them. But I was not. I was holding a baby who was already dead. So no time to waste, we resumed CPR very quickly. And for kids, they have plenty years of life ahead of them that you want to save it all for them. You don't want to give up early on them. We continued CPR for more than an hour, or maybe close to 2. But at the end, we failed. I was responsible to ask the resuscitation team to stop and announce the time of death. The weight of the whole world was on my shoulders. The moment I left the NICU, I could not bear it anymore. I fall down on the ground just behind the door and broke down in tears. I felt helplessness. I felt anger. I felt failure. I have lost a baby, a 45 days old boy. I did not notice when someone sat next to me on the ground, but I felt hands on my shoulders trying to comfort me. She started talking to me very calmly. She said to me, "It's okay. We didn't want him to suffer anymore. He has been hospitalized since birth. We already knew he's not going to survive long. It was the second time today they did a CPR on him. We already knew we are going to lose him. There was nothing more you could have done for him. Maybe it was the best thing that could have happened to our son." To my shock, it was the baby's mom trying to calm me down. And if you really want to understand how same words can carry different meaning and create different understanding, just imagine the roles were reversed. I was the calm doctor trying to calm down a crying mom who has just lost her son with the exact same words. There was nothing more I could have done for him. Maybe it was the best thing that could have happened to your son. Brutal. If the mom had said it, it would be considered as calming. If I had said it, it would be considered as cruel. Same words, same language, even in the same moment and condition, but different meaning and completely opposite understandings. Science helps us understand why moments like this happen in life. Our brains do not interpret words in isolation. Our brains interpret the context. Who is speaking? In what role? In what emotional state? Neuroscience shows us our brains make a prediction about what something means even before we become consciously aware of it. Based on our past experiences and our expectations, our brains makes a guess about the meaning of the words and creates an understanding for us even before the sentence is finished. So, if our brain is going to do that trick and creates the understanding for us even before we hear the words completely, probably the solution to a better understanding cannot be to provide more words, but to give it a pause and ask, what does it mean to you? This pause will interrupt the automatic assumption process of the brain and gives space for the context, for the fears, for the values, for the history to surface and for the meaning to form. The moment we locate the meaning, our conversation stops being a battle to win and becomes a bridge to connect. So next time, when you felt misunderstood, remember, the same words might have been shared, but not the same understandings. Understanding only starts when we all recognize, although we are looking at the same sky, and although we all call it blue, none of us sees the same blue. And the same is true for understanding. Thank you.